Take care lest you forget the Lord your God by not keeping his commandments and his rules and his statutes, which I command you today. Lest when you have eaten and are full and have built good houses and live in them, and when your herds and flocks multiply and your silver and gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, beware lest you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand have gotten me this wealth. You shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth, that he may confirm his covenant that he swore to your fathers, as it is to this day. And if you forget the Lord your God and go after other gods and serve them and worship them, I solemnly warn you today that you shall surely perish. Like the nations that the Lord makes to perish before you, so shall you perish, because you would not obey the voice of the Lord your God. Welcome back to the Dominion Podcast. Sorry for the lengthy opening there. That was a bit from Deuteronomy 8, which I hope we can talk about a little more as we move forward. I'm your host, Jeremy.
I'm Alex.
And we got a third party in the room here right now. Mr. Jacob Leeming is behind the scenes. He's driving the ship. If you're a faithful listener, you'll notice my laptop's not in front of me.
Moving on up.
That's right. Somebody else is working the laptop tonight.
Yeah. You're good at getting other people to work for you, ain't you?
I'm really good at it, actually. You should have seen how much work I got my guys to do for me today. It's amazing.
That's great. Although this is volunteer, so...
he's not getting paid.
Yeah, thanks, Jacob.
Yeah. Maybe just coffees. Maybe I'll bring coffees next time.
Yeah.
As a thank you. Well, we're back. How's your week been?
What day is it?
I don't know, Tuesday? We normally do this on a Tuesday, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've just been swamped. It's good. Swamped. Church is looking for a permanent location. And those kinds of things end up taking up a lot of time. I decided with the guys this morning or last night that we need a building committee.
Yes. I'm surprised you guys don't have one already.
Well, we've had several.
Okay.
So they kind of just, don't go anywhere.
They clearly didn't find a building.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, what looks like a few initial conversations and turns into a lot, multiple letters and emails and trips and conversations, and it ultimately, go nowhere. But I have a firm resolve to equip other men in the church to form a building committee and find us, build us a building.
Hey,
I'm just going to ask 3 men in our church to build a building next week.
That's great. I'd help.
Yeah.
I'd help with the HVAC stuff. I can't frame so good, but
yeah, well, we need to find some land, and I think we've got so many men in the church with so many skills, like a lot of tradesmen.
Yeah.
And we could definitely do the majority of the work ourselves.
Yep.
Like a lot of it. And
just need a private mortgage and some land.
Yeah, we do.
And some city council somewhere that's willing to rezone some land for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, institutional. So
yeah.
We would love to get a permanent spot for the church and for the school. And I think those can be mutually beneficial, and so it's something to pray for. Our listeners, you can pray for us. It's been, if in case you didn't know, we've been somewhat nomadic since we began in 2010. We've met all over the place, and the Lord's provided, and it's been good. We just are, every week we have new families showing up. Kind of surprising because we literally meet in a banquet hall of a hockey rink. And I think we have like 6 chairs left in the storage room. So, another family shows up, and, renovations could be happening in the spring, they said. They just told us that. And we might be out of there. Who knows? So we've been looking for places forever and haven't really found anything. But we trust, Beck said we're at the sea with an army behind us, and there's nowhere to go. And that's just the point that God delivers. So we pray that he will. And
wait, who's Moses in this analogy?
The person waiting by the sea.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
None of you have beards big enough, I don't think, for that.
Oh, which one of us? Yeah, not back. But yeah, that's been kind of on the forefront. I haven't got much reading, just a lot of writing done this week.
Yeah.
Sermon prep.
Emails.
Too many emails, dude. Oh my gosh. And it reminded me too, just wading into the kind of broader church culture, it's like, oh, I'm not used to this, like the kind of the politics of it.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful, honestly. There's a couple things I'm really thankful for. One, we do things just very forthrightly. So I don't, with Jacob's an elder now, with Ryland and Ben, we just have honest conversations. So I've never felt the need to kind of manipulate or control or
politic.
Yeah, politic. It's just
hidden, trying to discern people's hidden motives.
Yeah, it's
tiring.
So stressful.
It's tiring.
It's so tiring. And so it made me think, kind of, wading through that. Oh, I'm so thankful. This is not what I have to deal with, because ministry is hard. Like teaching the Bible and making disciples and disciplining and praying and dealing with suffering and loss, and it's hard. Mm-hmm. And if you add on to that whole culture, if that was what pastoring was, like essentially politics, I would not do it.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing I was thankful for, I said to the group, the Signal group, which I need to be in more Signal groups. I feel like I'm not in enough Signal groups.
You're probably in the requisite amount.
Yeah. But I was saying it made me really thankful for Westmount. And who else did I say? Someone else. But people who've been very kind and generous to us. That you run into people who are not necessarily considerate and generous and stuff. And it's like, oh, yeah, it was a real gift. I mean, we met at Westmount for almost 5 years.
Was it that long?
It was a long time. Wow. I didn't realize until we looked back on it.
I guess, yeah, it was 2020. And
it was.
You guys just left last year, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we were there for almost nothing. Like, we covered some cleaning costs. It was just a pure gift. It was a pure gift from the Westmount congregation and you and Pastor Chase, the whole leadership team there. And it's like, oh, that was amazing. There was a true partnership in the gospel. They didn't gain anything from us. It literally only cost you in a variety of ways. So it just made me thankful. And if the Lord's ever to bless us, he has blessed us, and whatever we have, we need to be generous with others. You think of the church that Paul commends for, giving not into their abundance, but their lack, above and beyond what they were actually able to afford, and how they signified the grace of God. And there's something about kind of being calculated and self-preserving with your resources. That's just like, it's just not Christian, And so we need to remember these things as a church. We need to say, you know what? We know what it is to receive the benevolence and the charity and the kindness of other Christians, and we need to extend that to other people as well as a congregation. So maybe not the rabbit trail you were looking for, but that's been my week.
Excellent.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. It's been hasn't been crazy busy this week.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice.
Nice.
Yeah. I feel like in the next month it's probably going to ramp up, and then I won't see anybody till Christmas.
Yeah.
So, I'm just enjoying it.
Yeah.
Trying to get in as many breakfasts and lunch meetings as I can in the next couple of weeks.
Nice. some wonton soup.
Yeah. It's a little faux soup.
Little faux soup. Yeah.
You like faux?
I do.
Yeah, it's delicious. Eh?
Yeah, it is. Well, there's a lot of meat in it.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically just soup with meat and really tasty noodles.
And really good broth.
Yeah. And it's huge. At least the one I got.
I get the medium size. It's too much if you go with the big one.
Oh, I didn't know there was another size. Someone else ordered for me both times. I went with you one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then another young man once, John McCallis, is the one who originally took me out for Vietnamese. And anyways, good stuff.
Yeah. Well, you got some opening comments before we get into the...
Yeah, I've got some opening comments.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Time for the airing of grievances. All right.
Buckle up. Oh, man, this is a cathartic time for Alex, just airs all his grievances.
45 minutes later. Are we going to get to the topic here or what?
But in all seriousness, we are really looking forward to the next 10 months to a year. So what we're doing with Dominion, if you go to dominionpress.ca, all of this will be hosted there. We are going to launch what we're calling the Dominion Project. And the goal is to provide some leadership and direction for Christians regarding public theology. And this is a project you and I have been on with the podcast. I mean, we got into this literally in the bunker under City Hall.
That's right.
Because we needed to discuss areas of public theology that were neglected by the church, especially Canadian church. And we've kind of continued on. And I expected that more people, and certainly more Christians, have shown more interest in public theology. But the discourse hasn't really elevated. Like I found that the discourse was actually more thoughtful and, deep in 2020, 2021.
Yeah, when we were under stress.
Yeah, we were under stress and pastors came together and produced documents. Anyways, so we want to basically, as part of the Dominion Project, launch the Dominion Declaration, which will be a practical theological manifesto, basically of how the Christian faith relates to a flourishing nation. And it'll be biblical, Kuyperian in nature. And again, the goal is not to produce another confession or another creed. It's actually to take the timeless truths of the Christian church and apply it to that specific question. And there's all kinds of ideologies that are rising up, and there's questions surrounding, Christian nationalism, depending on how you define that. There's ethno-nationalism, there's globalism, there's a million isms, and there's been a vacuum and not a lot of leadership. And so we want to prepare something that brings clarity, if only for our church, then that's fine. So what we're going to do for the next 10 months is we're taking the themes that are going to form the structure of the Dominion Declaration, and we are going to spend a month on each of them. So we're going to do a couple pods each month. We're going to have 4 articles on dominionpress.ca, various authors contributing to each theme. And the goal of which is to have our thinking refined such that we can produce a succinct and practical document to serve as a flag to rally around and to fight from. And what we would love from there is not to only, have a landing page and an opportunity for signatures, but to use that really as just the basis or the springboard for equipping Christians further in the area of public theology. And, we'll get it more into those details, but we started the Dominion Forum last fall in Peterborough. It was a success. We're going to start running more of those. Jacob's going to come on and be organizing that. And we would love to see the Dominion Forums as kind of a new public square. You don't want to just be on Twitter all day and social media. It's a dumpster fire. It doesn't facilitate good discourse. You need to be face-to-face. I would love to see a Dominion Forum start in partnership with local churches across Canada as an opportunity for Christians to come together and think about various topics related to public theology. And again, it's more of a Bible teaching thing. We were discussing, was it this morning, about Rutherford? I mean, Rutherford and Calvin and Luther, in one hand, had such a prolific impact on the culture and politically speaking, but they were Bible teachers. Like this whole, are you going to engage in politics or Bible teaching or, family teaching?
Dichotomy.
It's a false dichotomy. Yeah. It's as Canon says, all of Christ and all of life, for all of life. And so Calvin is known for the Institutes and for his commentaries and for his sermons. Yeah. But he was also known for his role in the formation of a Christian magistrate in Switzerland.
Yeah, he didn't leave anything out of theology.
No.
There's no aspect that wasn't touched by it.
No. And the same
he saw how everything was connected, because it is.
It is. Yeah. And Luther, the bondage of the will and the justification and the 95 Theses. Well, he's also known for reforming marriage and, even the pastorate. And obviously the fruit of this and the Reformation in the civil sphere. Rutherford as well, Lex Rex. But he was an amazing pastor and theologian. He wasn't strictly speaking a politician, but
He was also a total Chad.
Total Chad.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life goals, right?
There's that story about him at the end of his life when he's summoned by the king.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's actually on his deathbed, and he said, "I've been summoned by a higher court.
Yeah.
Sorry, can't come."
Let's go.
It's so good.
It is so good. Lord bless him.
Yep.
So basically, we don't see a dichotomy between private, personal, public theology. And so we want to bring that to bear. So this month, we're starting with the most fundamental theme, which is God. And I thought this evening we could talk about how God himself, not just the doctrine of God or the philosophy of God or the ideas about God, but the God of the Bible, the true and the living God, is necessary to the flourishing of any nation. And certainly this was indicated in the passage that you read, Deuteronomy 12.
That was Deuteronomy 8.
Deuteronomy 8.
Yep.
And I think by way of context, a lot of contemporary Christians have been so influenced by secularism, which is the idea that there are spheres of life that are irreligious.
Yep.
In a simple sense, that they think that a Christian nation or a nation that acknowledges, or I'll put it another way, they think that it's possible to have a flourishing nation without God. I mean, no Christian will probably articulate it that way. But we think that the idea that each nation has a God above it is either a strictly Christian idea, like as in it just applies to us, or it is kind of an Old Testament, ancient religious way of thinking. Mm-hmm. But actually, the way that the Old Testament considers nations and their relationship to the divine, to either the true and the living God or to false gods and idols, is the way the world still is.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, none of the nations surrounding Israel had no gods.
No. There was no atheist.
You either had the true God or the false gods.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the mistake that the modern man makes is thinking that that was just a primitive idea that we've progressed beyond.
Yeah.
And there we can have a nation without a reference to the divine. Mm-hmm. And this is an asinine idea. And it is proven, and I think interestingly, I think we are living in the time when this idea has run its course. I think this idea has absolutely run its course, and we are coming around. The people who want to run with this further are kind of making their last play. The secularists, which are really statists and globalists, like they're the progressives. They're trying to take all the capital, the resources, and the institutions and the power that they've accumulated and make one last-ditch effort towards their utopian dreams. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying it's over and that everyone's abandoning it.
It's been exposed.
It's been exposed.
False. Yeah.
It's been exposed as false. And so I think that when did this idea, probably the so-called Enlightenment?
Yeah.
Like, we've been working through this idea for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And I think
it's funny how this idea of a secular, neutral space only really arose in Christian countries.
Yes,
because of the prosperity of those countries.
Yes.
There was like the passage I read. Like you think that look what I've done. Like that funny the meme of I think it's one of those SpongeBob memes where the guy's at the top of the hill and he gets dragged up by a rope and then gets to the top. He's like, look how high I've climbed.
Yes. It's the foolish thought of thinking, each day you go out to tend to your garden and then one day you decide not to. And then the next day you still have tomatoes and you're like, I guess I can do what I want. It's like, for a while.
Or you think that weeding and caring for the garden is like actually the force that makes the flowers grow.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're not, you're just helping.
Yes.
But there's something else behind that.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so it was the Christian worldview that produced this wealth and peace and prosperity. And that led to complacency. And I know we're going to get to this in some of your points that you've got, but I don't want to get too far ahead here.
No, it's totally true. So maybe the first point that we can make in regards to the critical necessity of God to a flourishing nation is that theocracy is inevitable, or perhaps we should say unavoidable. Yeah. Every nation will have a God. It will either be the true and the living God, who through his Son and faith in his Son builds flourishing, strong, peaceful, ordered nations, or it will be some other God. And this is a critical point, because when we talk about God in the nation, what a lot of contemporary people think is they think that we are trying to simply impose our preference. Like, you can have a secular nation, or you can have a nation that acknowledges the divine or has a God. And we want it to be that, and you want it to be that, and let's have this argument, this power struggle. That's not actually our point.
Yeah.
Our point is our nation will have a God, and we think it should be ours.
Similar to how we would talk about economics, right? We're pushing one economic theory and other people are pushing another, and it's just a matter of preference.
Yes.
Now, our point is like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You have to do it this way because it doesn't work the other way, because this is the right way.
Yes.
It's not my preference that makes it work. It's the fact that it's true, you know? And so that's kind of where we're at there.
Yes. It's the same kind of thing.
I've been re-listening to Francis Schaeffer this week. He is there and he is not silent.
Oh, yeah.
You know that one?
Yes.
I think it was like the follow-up to Escape from Reason. And he goes on at length about this, how the non-Christians and the secularists, by their very actions, are affirming the Christian truths because they live as though there is a God, even though they say there isn't one.
Yeah.
And I know atheism is not as big of a deal now as it was even 20 years ago, but even the mystics and the secularists still live as though there's a God. They can't avoid that because God has made us to live as worshipers. And so I think that's what you're saying, but it's inescapable in that mankind will select something to worship.
Yeah.
And we'll set that up.
And a part of the problem is when people hear the word theocracy, they think of an ecclesiocracy.
Yeah.
So they're thinking about a formal religious, they're thinking about like Iran.
Yeah.
Where the clerics are the ones who are the supreme leader of the nation.
The church and the state are the same thing.
Yes. And that's not what Christians advocate for. And that's not what, strictly speaking, theocracy requires. Theocracy just means the rule of God, right? And so what we mean to say is, when we say theocracy is unavoidable, is that there will be a God of the nation. Now, what the kind of the Enlightenment ideal is for governance is democracy. I mean, it's kind of funny because, like, are there any nations that are just direct democracies?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like everyone's who's been spreading democracy around the world. It's like, where are those, you know?
Like Plato said, democracies don't last long and they turn into dictatorships eventually.
Well, this is a great point, because the democracy is often framed in reference as to theocracy as its opposite. So it's the demos, the rule of the people, versus the rule of God. But what we see in practice is that democracies take on what people imagine a bad theocracy to be is what democracies end up becoming. And I think you noted last week that democracies end up, when there is no God above the people, then the most powerful people become God. And what that means for us is the state.
Yep.
Whoever has a monopoly on violence, primarily, whoever has a monopoly on the economy, whoever has a monopoly on the truth and how information is spread, disseminated, whoever has a monopoly on what is true and good and just, they are the God.
Yeah. It's democracy. A pure democracy will always end up in the majority oppressing the minority.
Yes.
And so that leads to chaos. It leads to dysfunction. And then you get the strong man who comes in and says, I can fix this all for you. You guys just need a strong leader to tell everybody what to do.
Yeah.
And everybody goes, yeah, we don't want chaos anymore. Come on in.
Yes.
And that's usually, I mean, that's kind of the argument that Plato makes in the Republic, right?
Yes. Well,
So
I can't verify that because
Okay.
I haven't read it.
I did a long time ago, but that's like one of the only things that stuck with me in there is his assessment of democracy. So not to say that the other systems he's talking about were any better, but his point was like none of the systems really work.
Yeah.
So and we're not a democracy, right? We're
No.
a parliamentary. What do we call ourselves? A parliamentary republic or not a republic?
There's no word in my brain right now. I can't get over the fact that you said something about Plato, and I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about something else, but I just casually acted like I've read that book and I know what you mean, but I actually don't. So I got to check myself for everyone listening right now.
Don't take my word for it. I could be totally misreading the room on that one.
So the irony here is that a pure democracy or the rule of the people without the rule of God above it. So the rule of the people seen as ultimate. I see Elon Musk tweeting out this Latin phrase about the voice of the people as a voice of God.
Yeah. Vox populi, vox Dei.
Yes. And that inevitably, ironically, leads to authoritarianism.
It sure does.
Because if there is no transcendent power or principle or source of truth, goodness, and beauty, then it is by definition just the determination of the people.
Yeah.
Well, there's no shared standard, technically speaking, for anything, and no standard to appeal to. The mob asserts their will through force.
Yeah.
There's no principles. There's just opinions. There's no persuasion. There's just power.
Right.
This is a definition of authoritarian tyranny.
Yeah.
Which is why, since we've abandoned God and his rule, what have we fluctuated between? Revolution, which is just anarchy and bloodshed, or dictatorship. Like these are the poles that human politics move in, and we're told this myth that if we get rid of a theocracy, we will have this flourishing and this order.
Yeah.
When the exact opposite.
And it's really easy to verify that too.
Yeah.
Look at all the communist countries that are like
the revolution and then totalitarianism.
The on paper rejection of any sort of deity, and here's what you get. Mm-hmm. And it's the same every time.
Yeah.
So essentially, the highest authority in a country is the God of the system.
Yes.
So you could have a system like ours that has a portion of it is democratic. Mm-hmm. That's not where the people aren't the God, because there is a rule of law. There's either a constitution or some higher rule that is what governs the government and the people.
Yeah, we
used to have that.
Yeah, we call it responsible government.
Yeah.
So we actually believe that in the West, the Christian idea is that all of humanity is created in the image of and likeness of God and has inherent dignity and worth, but also inherent responsibilities to God and to each other. And those are not up for definition by us, that those are defined and determined by God and revealed to us to walk in the obedience of faith in. Well, what this does is it creates a responsible citizenry, right? So the opposite of a pure democracy isn't, passivity on the part of the citizenry. It's an active and involved, but a limited authority within the citizenry and a limited responsibility. And so I think we're going to circle back to some of that, but we just need to understand that there will be a God of the system. Whatever has ultimate authority to determine what is right and what is wrong and what is true, that is the God of the system.
And we see theocracy as, like you said, I think we have a false view of it. But you could have a system like ours in Canada, or in the States, that's theocratic.
Yeah,
because the highest rule, the highest law is based on the law of God.
It's the Bible.
Yeah.
Which is what...
That makes it a theocracy.
Yes.
So we're not talking about some supreme leader or Joseph Smith or
No.
one of these guys at the top.
No, and actually the opposite happens.
Yeah.
So it is this idea that God and his word rule over all is what actually limits human authority.
And like you said, increases the human responsibility.
Increases the human responsibility.
Which shrinks the responsibility of the state.
Yeah. And so like Rutherford, Lex Rex, the law is king. This idea that there is a standard that is above the human king, and that is the rule in the land, is the antidote to tyranny, to dictatorship, to totalitarianism. It's the people who say there is no standard above the king or the people that end up inevitably, without exception.
It's when the guillotines roll out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we Christians just need to learn to. I mean, we should make T-shirts or something. It's like make theocracy great again or something like that. But we ought to live. And I'll say this in closing on that point, that technically the world exists is a theocracy because God is the king.
Yeah.
And Christ, it says in Revelation, is the ruler of the nations. So so on one hand, we see all things have been subjected to him, and yet at present we do not see all things subjected to him. So Christ is the king, and Christ does have authority over the nations, and yet that is not exercised to the fullest extent that it one day will be.
It's exercised in the way that God will not allow those who reject him to flourish.
Yes.
Right. This is why bad government doesn't work. Bad economics doesn't work. Bad cultural policies, they don't work because God will not allow them to work. That's at this point, that's how he is exercising that rule.
The second thing is that God is the only foundation for truth. So this is the epistemological necessity. And it's no coincidence that as our society has forsaken God as the standard and the ruler, that we have succumbed to lies. I mean, what else characterizes the West other than its proclivity towards lies? Like that is what it is. Like DEI, Marxism, identity politics, multicultural, like all of these things are all lies. You can print money and still prosper. You can, not have parents and still prosper. You can give up a Christian view of sexuality and marriage and the family and economics and governance and all these things and still do. It's all lies. It's all lies. And it's kind of reached its peak in the trans insanity where you're told to, affirm that 2 + 2 is 5. That up is down and down is up kind of thing. But we've been tolerating lies for a long time. Well, why is that? Well, we've rejected that there is an objective, transcendent standard that is the critical condition for the attainment of all truth and knowledge and understanding. And this is why the Proverbs say the fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding. Like when you stop fearing God, you stop seeing the world as it is. You literally are diminished and ultimately destroyed in your capacity to comprehend what's true. Paul talks about in Romans 1, what is downstream from idolatry? The suppression of the truth and unrighteousness. And therefore, their hearts are darkened and their minds are just broken.
Yeah.
A debased mind is what he says. All of this is people talk about the universities and the education. It's like, yeah, but what led to that?
Yeah.
It's idolatry. And so positively speaking, God is the source of all truth because Christ is before all things and in him all things hold together. Colossians 1:17. The word for hold together it's cohere. That's what it means. So God is the kind of God and has fashioned the world in such a way that rationality is even possible. So it's back to your atheist thing. Like even the arguments that you make against God require God to make.
Yeah, because you're relying on logic and rationality.
You're relying on a world that this can't be this and this at the same time. The law of non-contradiction. Something can't be true and false at the same time. And that being the case, that it depends upon God, right? So he's a source of and foundation of truth. He is the foundation of all ethics and morality from which we determine our laws. So again, it's no coincidence that as we've abandoned Christ, we've fallen into relativism, pluralism, eventually multiculturalism, eventually, like I read today that, a guy who stabbed 2 toddlers, his own children, some tranny guy who stabbed 2 of his own kids, like in the throat, got 5 years.
Yeah.
And the judge is like, we need to send a strong message. I'm confident that we're really sending a strong message here. It's like, that guy should be strung by his neck until dead.
That's like the most limp-wristed response ever.
It's like,
Yeah.
there is no justice. Like, people assault people violently and rape people. And the judge is like, you know what? If you were actually held, if you faced consequences, you'd probably have to leave Canada. And that's cruel. So.
Yeah.
Like down is up and up is down.
Yeah.
And evil is good and good is evil and light is dark and dark is light. Like that's where we're at.
Yeah.
We have no moral clarity at all. Because there's no point of reference.
Yeah.
What is right? What is wrong? And no one can really say. And the default is just evil.
Yeah. There's no other option. It's either popular opinion or God's law.
Yeah.
You don't have a third option.
No. And again, back to the first point, we're not advocating for our view. We're saying that this is the only possible way.
Yeah.
So unless, if there is no God, then what you think is right isn't necessarily right.
The argument is called the impossibility of the contrary, right? That's what we're arguing for.
Fourth, historically speaking, Canada was founded as a Christian nation. So it's funny, you see this even in the States, which has, I think, in some ways more explicit. There are some things that are more explicit in the literature, the legal framework. But if you understand that Canada is simply the continuation of British law and culture.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally still, when they coronate the king, he's the defender of the gospel. Like they still actually
they play that Zadok the priest song while they're crowning the new king. Like that's what they play.
Yeah. And he's to uphold the law and the gospel. Like the British law is the most explicitly Christian in, like, I don't know, maybe even world history. Like certainly in modern history. It is explicitly Christian. None of this like deity and creator talk. Like it's the Lord Jesus Christ and his gospel and his word. Well, that is British North America is what became Canada. Our laws and our customs, our culture, our tradition, we're all based on this. Explicitly Christian.
Except for Quebec.
Yeah, except for Quebec.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Or I suppose except for any of the Catholic areas.
Yeah, except for the Catholic areas. I heard that Tristan pointed out that Doug, they planted a church in Moscow, planted a church in Quebec.
The CREC.
Yeah.
I did hear. I saw that from Nathan Zeckfeld's
That's
Twitter.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like really cool.
Yeah. I don't know where it was, but.
Yeah. But anyways, that was a bit of a. But Canada was was a Christian nation at its founding.
Yeah.
Like without a doubt. It was made up of, outside of Quebec, it was Protestant. It was over 90% Protestant. It was Anglican, and it was
based on British common law, which is based on
Christian values and principles.
I mean, starting with King Alfred and moving all through the Middle Ages, the law was informed by Scripture.
Yeah. Like when you think about limited government, individual dignity and freedom, the rule of law, due process, all of these things enshrined in British law are Christian principles and values and customs. They all are explicitly. And that is what shaped our nation. To say nothing of the character of the actual people, most of which were actually Christians, professing Christians. I was even thinking of, it came much later, but our anthem, this only recently dawned on me, but our national anthem includes a prayer. It is a prayerful petition to God. God, keep our land glorious and free. Like, It is to directly petition the true and the living God for freedom. And you know, every school child, I sang that in solemn assembly every morning in every public school, at least when I was growing up. So no doubt, everything good in our nation that we have experienced is because of Christ and his working in our nation, and the laws and customs and traditions that were the outworking of the gospel working in a culture. And I think the inverse is true. All of the bad that we experience can be directly tied to our rejection of God, like you read in Deuteronomy. You know, prosperity led to apostasy.
Yep.
And that is where we're living right now. We're living in an apostate age where the folly and the evil is so deep and entrenched in the Canadian people and the Canadian institutions and the halls of power. It can't be explained historically. Like, you can't just say this, and this, or philosophically, it was this idea and that idea, and this idea and this idea. There's part truth to those things, but at the bottom of it is a rejection of what is true and what is good, a rejection of God. And you get a debased mind. You know, there's no, like, when you are the world leader in euthanizing your citizenry, when you're one of the world leaders in late-term abortions, you know, post-birth, which is murder.
Yeah.
It's just murder. When a guy gets seasonal depression and you can, as a healthcare provider, just give him 2 pills to die, like, you're so far down the road of depravity that there's almost no deeper that you can go. We just haven't seen those things work out to the fullest extent. But there's technically, if you'll kill your own child, there's nothing you won't do. So there's some kind of restraint, for some reason, undeservedly, over Canada right now. But it's wearing pretty thin.
Yeah.
And again, this can go back to our rejection of God. That's a point. That's the only point I'm trying to make from there. I'm on the 6th point now. I didn't say all the numbers when I stopped saying numbers in my sermons because I used to just forget to say what number it was. I go from 1 to 5.
In your notes, you just need a big giant half-page number.
Yeah, I just make 3 points every week now.
Yeah.
Just same 3 points. God is a cultural necessity. So Joe Boot made this observation, which I'm sure he got from somewhere, but that culture is just religion externalized. And once you understand that, then again, you see how God is fundamental to any culture. It'll like whatever God that it is. And Canadian culture is obviously a reflection of the Christian religion and faith in the true God, but every culture will be a reflection of its gods.
Yeah.
And secular culture is a reflection of its gods.
I mean, I was talking to somebody yesterday about this with all the with what's going on in Iran right now and what has gone on in the Middle East in the last generation. You know, the last time the Americans went in, it was we're going to get rid of their dictators and then we're going to set up a democracy and it's going to be great. It's like, well, it doesn't really work like that.
No.
They don't really have the worldview to support a democracy.
Yeah.
That's not something that just everybody wants and it's the default position.
Yes.
Their religion does not allow for that.
Yeah.
Because their God is a totalitarian, Unitarian God. There's no Trinity. There's no mercy and self-sacrifice in the Godhead. So
it's just submission.
So your religion is going to dictate your government and your culture, and that's why that hasn't worked.
Yes.
And so as we're thinking about Iran this week, a lot of stuff going on there. We're hopeful for the people of Iran that maybe something better can happen. But if they don't accept the Lord Jesus, then it's just not gonna go that way, unfortunately.
No, there needs to be a changing of the gods.
Yeah,
that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And so when people think about cultures, like, why are these cultures different? Well, it's their religions are different. The most fundamental realities of human life are different.
Yeah.
And the things from which everything else flows are different. And you can't just impose a system of governance and make up for that difference, which is why it doesn't work,
Yeah.
Anywhere else. And it's actually kind of an ironic, a sad irony that multiculturalism does the opposite. So multiculturalism, as it has been implemented across the West, has not resulted in multiple cultures, but rather a sick monoculture. Yeah. It's become, a homogenous kind of blob. And someone mentioned this recently, I read online, like, look at the architecture of the major cities, like even Toronto. Look at Toronto. You look at Jarvis Street and Gothic. I don't really like the gargoyles and stuff. It seems weird that a church has gargoyles, but it's impressive architecture. And even the homes, you look at the old avenues there, like, okay, you know how much harder it was to do things back then without like cordless drills and, concrete trucks and, stone throwers and all that, whatever. And they still took the time to do such rich work. Like,
and now everything's a square glass box and cement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what happens? We got all this prosperity and everything is literally steel and glass. Like you go to the Royal Ontario Museum.
Half of it's nice. The other half looks like a monstrosity fell out of the sky.
It looks like an alien tumor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it looks like a mechanical tumor on the side of that building.
It was probably the intention.
Yeah.
Right? Like art and all of that stuff is at this point is just mockery.
Yeah.
It's just vandalism, right?
Yeah.
So
subversive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you look at Trent University as well, and it's like they tried to have it's like the Oxford system with a modernist take on Oxford style. So they have cold concrete,
brutalist architecture.
Yes, in the place of stone, sharp angles.
And slightly off angles.
Yeah.
Just like that one building when you come around the bend, it's like it's just off just enough to kind of make somebody with OCD do this a little bit.
Oh, good luck. Good luck. You're your first year and you have a freaking seminar at Autonomy College, People are lining up at the offices like, where's this class? It's like, well, if you take 4 steps and look to your left at the right angle, you'll notice this off angle doorway that you'll go through, and the hallway's not straight.
Well, I haven't even been in these buildings.
Oh, they're crazy. They're crazy. Like they're just not. They make no sense whatsoever.
On purpose. And
they're like triangular classrooms. And where I'm going with that is don't be retarded. is basically where I'm going. But
great advice, everybody. Yeah. Really great advice. You heard it here first.
Yeah. But we've changed our gods, and it actually has destroyed our culture. Multiculturalism, it's like it didn't produce this thriving, metropolis of all the best of everyone. It actually is the same. If you look at multiculturalism in England, in France, in Toronto, in Montreal, in Vancouver, it's the same garbage.
Yeah,
it's the same garbage.
Well, the people we're bringing in don't believe in multiculturalism.
No,
they're fine expressing their culture.
Yeah.
So we're the only ones that are like, man, I don't want to express my culture. Well, somebody else is gonna, and yours is gonna die as a result. So.
Yeah. So what was von Prinster is the one, or the introduction of his book said that the purpose of tolerance is to delegitimize any absolute truth claims. That's the purpose. That's the only goal of tolerance, because by definition, if you have to be tolerant of all things, and the only thing that you can not be tolerant of is the thing that is absolute, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same with multiculturalism. It's like this wasn't intended to expand things. It was intended to destroy Christian culture. That's all that is.
Yeah, it wasn't just about getting more falafel stores and more Chinese buffets.
No.
Yeah. Which as tasty as buffets are. But.
Yeah, but let's be honest here. If we're going to be real honest right now, if you had to give up Vietnamese pho soup and just have cheeseburgers and steaks, man, you'd be fine.
Oh, yeah, I'd be fine. I like a cheeseburger.
But is there really a comparison between like North American food and noodle soup?
Honestly, I like a lot of food.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. But cheese, I mean,
I like Christian food, man. Basically.
what would Jesus eat?
What Jesus
Wait a minute. Oh, don't.
Pub food.
Yeah.
Pub food.
Falafel.
The next thing is God is required for a coherent identity. And part of the reason why we're in this identity crisis is we've abandoned a standard, we've abandoned an aim and a goal and something that defines everyone. Well, that's the thing that provides our identity. And this is why everyone's trying to discover themselves and figure out themselves, because they are God, right? Whereas the God of the Bible actually tells us our meaning, tells us our purpose, gives us an identity that we operate out of, and as we've forsaken him, we've also been tearing down every institution that's meant to kind of be an intermediate in this, right? Like our dads, destroy the dad. Well, what's one of the purpose of a dad? This is my beloved son with whom I'm well pleased. Like it's who you are, son. This is who you are.
Yeah.
And if your dad doesn't tell you who you are, you spend your whole life trying to figure that out. So we get rid of God, we lose a coherent identity. Second from last, we lose our unity. Like this is one of the biggest differences I noticed, even from the 90s to today, is like I have lived at that time when there was such a thing as national unity. Mm-hmm. I've lived at a time when even amongst the political class, there was a unity. Like the NDP,
not the kind of unity we have now.
No.
Like there's unity now between all the parties, but that's because they're all playing on the same team.
Yes.
Not that kind of unity.
No, I mean culturally, like the weirdest of the mix was the NDP, and they were kind of old school, like actually for the unions. They've been Marxist and increasing that way for a long time. But I didn't lock my doors growing up. We sang the national anthem every single day, and everyone kind of cheered for the same events and lamented the same losses and the same tragedies. And, there was, I don't know if this was your experience, but I felt like, yes, there was sin, and yes, there was conflict that stems from that. But it is, looking back, there was a shocking degree of civic unity in Canada, peace and order and good governance, and I don't even know, obviously a child, how bad it was getting, and the seeds, the poison that as it was settling in. But yeah, there actually was, you could go out in public and expect to be safe. Like you could go out, someone showed a picture from 10 years ago today, I saw online, in the Toronto subway station, or Union Station or something. The place you put your money to go on the subway was busted, and there was a stack of change and cash sitting on top from 10 years ago, bro. From people walking through, and rather than just getting over it and walking without paying, that they had the conscience to leave money, and no one took it.
Except for the guy that took the picture.
Yeah, that guy. He took it.
Yeah.
But it's like, that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me, because I actually remember that world. Like I remember that there was a shared sense of moral duty. And I remember the people who stepped out of it were outside. Like criminals were actually viewed as
bad for society.
Bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so one of the disastrous consequences of rejecting God is that there's no, and this is my point, there cannot be unity. What does light have in common with darkness? And there is no political campaign, there is no economic win, there is nothing that can unite light and darkness. Only Christ. And that's why, to be honest, if we are to be restored as a nation, that's another reason why we need revival. There cannot be, and there never will be. Canada will only continue to fracture, only apart from a revival. And the last thing I'll say about this is that the reason a nation needs God is because a nation is full of sinners. It's the same reason a marriage needs God. It's the same reason a church needs God, that a business needs God, that every human being needs God, is because God, through his Son, the Lord Jesus Christ, has provided the only remedy for sin, the only remedy for the things that actually would destroy a nation, which is the gospel. And so it's not just about all the good things that God provides. It's that he provides a way to undo all the bad things and to overcome the worst parts of human nature, and to actually transform individuals to not only, respect the law externally, but to embody it personally. So, as we continue throughout this month on the theme of the doctrine of God as it relates to a flourishing nation, these are kind of some of the things that we're going to be touching on.
Okay. Well, looks like our camera stopped working, eh? I think the battery died in my battery pack. Probably a good time to end it.
Yeah.
Maybe, though, before we do, what are you reading?
I read almost nothing but my Bible and
and your own emails
and an Andreas Kossenberger commentary this week.
Oh, so. Nice. He's a commentator?
Yeah, so he was the first theological book I bought.
Oh, really? Okay.
I went to the Gospel Coalition in 2008 in Chicago.
Ooh.
It was, yeah, I mean, it was something back then.
Back then.
And I remember going to the bookstore, and the bookstore was literally like 20,000 square feet kind of thing. And I bought my first commentary on the Gospel of John. And I think I told Jacob recently, being my first theological book, I remember opening it and having no understanding of what I was reading.
Wow, this is so deep.
Went back on the shelf for another 10 years, but
I've only read him in his work he's done with Michael Kruger on the canon stuff.
Oh, yeah. Kruger's great on that.
Yeah.
He's done a lot on gender roles and stuff too.
Kruger or Kossenberger?
Okay. Yeah, he's one of the foremost guys on that. He's written some good stuff. Good biblical theology on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What are you reading?
Well, like I said, back into some Schaefer this week. So that's been good. It's amazing that he was able to see all this stuff that's come upon us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah, at the time when you read him, his warning is it feels so imminent.
Yeah.
But the people around him must have been like, "What are you looking at?"
Yeah. I'm not seeing
like
it,
I'm not seeing what you're seeing. Like what you're saying is reasonable, and it's rational. But it's like I don't think that's where we're at or where we're going necessarily. But he nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it. So, anyways, hopefully this week I'll get to some more reading, and I won't be trying to find a home for a church, and other men are going to build us a church for next week.
Sounds good. I'm booked up. I can't be there till the week after.
Okay, no problem.
All right. Well, I guess we'll leave you for this week, and we'll be back in a couple weeks. So I'll leave you with the usual. May he have dominion from sea to sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. May all kings fall down before him, all nations serve him. We'll see you next time.